everyone. My name is Kathleen Francesca, and I'm happy to be here with my friends on the pilot episode of This Is Me. And we just want to be able to talk about our journey and inspiring stories and hope to encourage and empower people out there. So I'm going to introduce or have my friends introduce themselves. So we're going to start with this hottie right here.
Oh, well, hello, everybody.
I was going to say, who did you invite? What's your name?
So, everybody, my name is Lauren Sesselmann, aka Sess. That's what everyone calls me. I'm originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now out here in LA, a professional soccer player. Played pro for 15 years. Played for the Canadian national team. Played in the Olympics and the World Cup. And now I've segued into the next phase of my career, and I do a lot of mentorship. I'm a soccer agent, and yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Hi, I'm Jesse Metcalfe. I'm an actor and entrepreneur. Best known for a little movie called John Tucker Must Die and the television series Desperate Housewives. I've also done a lot of Hallmark movies. And I've recently launched a skincare line. So I have thank you so much.
Right over there.
I have a former relationship with Kathleen in the health and wellness and beauty space, and we've collaborated in the past, and I hope to collaborate with you again.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. And, a little backstory of actually, we've kind of known each other for over 20 something years, not to age ourselves, but then we recently reconnected and started a journey in regenerative space. And I'm just happy to collaborate. And I'm just happy to have you here.
Damn, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Brandon Clark, director and producer. I own a company called True Brand Entertainment with my wonderful partners, Brian Bird and Darren Chavez. And we make any kind of film from theatrical to rom-coms to documentaries. And it's just a pleasure to do your passion in life, as much as it's taken me a long time to get there. And then I met this wonderful person many years back, and she dragged me into this today. So,
Yeah, I'm pretty good dragging my friends to every, endeavors that I have. And Brandon and I actually met a few years ago at a convention for
never thought I'd actually be at one of those, but Rama Drama, yeah.
Rama Drama.
But I learned a lot.
Yeah, and it was a good way to connect and meet a lot of, people in the industry. And Brandon and I actually did a little project 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Co-produce a project, and yeah, that's kind of how this friendship started. And I consider you my family just as much as I consider this to my family. So our topic today is pretty much facing your fear. I'd like to think that a lot of us have our fears that take us to where we're at in life right now. So I just kind of want to go around and talk about our fear in life and how it helped us to become more successful and kind of to consider the journey that we're on right now. So
start. Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
I think fear is something that is innate in all of us. It's just the natural human tendency when you face things head on.
Yeah.
But if we're in the industry of what we do, especially like Jesse, I relate a lot to, you got to take risks. And in that, fear is not, it's just a liar of faith, and you're going to have to step out and take risks and have faith. And it's one of those things you conquer as you get older, and then it gets a little easier to understand what that faith provides.
Yeah.
And so I look at fear as a challenge, and I like great challenges. And I think that's what's opened the door for me to be able to do some things that when people tell me I can't do something, I go after it, and I love that. And I look at that as the challenge. And I think most people get comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's where the fear starts, is when you're in a little comfortable space. Outside of that comfortable space, I think great things happen. And I'm really grateful for mentors and great people in my life like you, where we can talk about those things and go, hey, we're going after it.
We always have a lot of like deep conversation about fear, right? Yeah. So my greatest fear is I've always been afraid of people judge me for, who I am or my struggle in the past. And, just to be very transparent, 20 years ago, I got myself in some legal problems. And, it's very embarrassing. It's but there's a lesson to a lot of struggles in life, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I dislike about our society, people tend to judge you for your mistake instead of encouraging you to have a better path in life, right? And to me, I want to be able to take that power away from people, from being judged. I want to be able to tell my story. I want to be able to control my narrative. And I look at my fear now as a way of motivation and empower myself to not prove myself wrong to a lot of people, but it's more like, you know what? Yeah, we all have our mistake, we all have our struggle, but I'm going to allow that lesson to guide me in life. And you and I had a lot of talk about, people prejudging you and people, having that power over you by talking about things that they don't know about you. And
Yeah, and I think, and you and I had a conversation recently about this, and without too much detail, but one thing that is significant is we decide the credibility we give it,
yeah,
no matter what. And in that situation, you took up the arms and decided not to give it as much credit as it deserves. And that, gives credibility to the person causing or doing things. We can't do anything about the judgment. I can't even imagine for him, and just in the world of what we do, and for you, it's the same thing. It's all eyes are on you at all times, right? So the judgment just comes with it, and you can't do anything about it.
and I have a lot of admiration for people. I mean, obviously, I'm not, in you guys' industry, but it must be hard and it's challenging to worry about, what people have to say about you or the judgment that comes within being in such a public, public eye.
I think the biggest thing is people just forget that we're human, right? First and
Yeah.
foremost, I think, and I'm sure you can attest to that. It's just we're always constantly getting judged. She's not good enough. She can't do this. She can't do that. He can't do this. He can't do that. So I think it's hard, especially being an athlete, sitting there. And I used to say I never really cared what people thought of me.
Yeah.
But you do to an extent, right? In the line of work that we are, it's you sit there and you're hearing and you're taking in these things that people are saying about you, and you do care,
Yeah.
It's easy to get trapped too.
Yeah.
I did one time on a movie, I looked at the IMDb comments, I'm like, why did I just do that?
Yeah.
What was the point of that?
Yeah.
That 30 seconds to whatever lasted, I'm like, it just instilled in me something I would never have even acted like for that little
Yeah.
time.
I can definitely relate to that.
I bet.
I mean, I've obsessed over internet comments, really early on in my career. I mean, you didn't ask the question of me,
Yeah.
but I think my biggest fear, specifically when I was young, was judgment, much like yourself, and also rejection, and I think that stems from a lot of things that happened in my childhood. I was bullied as a child. I had really bad acne, believe it or not, as a teenager, which led me to
creating
launching
that, yeah.
Natural Skin. A lot of people don't believe me when I tell them I had bad acne, and I took Accutane because a lot of people praise me for my skin. But it was really my looks were such a catch-22. It drew a lot of attention, both negative and positive. And when I was younger, playing sports and stuff like that, I had a lot of boys tell me I looked like a girl, which really eroded my confidence.
Yeah.
And I got past that stuff, once I got into high school, I started doing a little modeling, and I caught a lot of crap, from my high school classmates for that.
Especially
But
in that era.
yeah, exactly. Especially in the era where I grew up.
Yeah,
Exactly.
different culture.
The 90s. Yeah. Very, very different time. People were a lot less accepting, a lot less empathetic. And, people used to throw a lot of comments around, a lot of words around that, people wouldn't dare say now, So, I mean, it was definitely a different time. But with that said, I sort of felt like I came into my own late in college, and in my college years, and maybe my senior year of high school, and then I got the opportunity to come out to Hollywood, and I was being praised all the
Where'd you
time.
come from?
I came from Connecticut.
Okay.
I studied film and television at New York University. I went to an open casting
now.
call. Yeah,
For the classic one, well.
yeah, exactly. I went to an open casting call for the soap opera Passions.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Hey.
Booking that role.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled. I was on cloud nine.
Yeah.
But as soon as I left, when you're on a soap, you're not really under the microscope. People know of you, but you're not really like a household name.
But you got to fire lines right away.
You
They
kind of fly
realize-
under the radar.
Yeah.
But as soon as I left the soap and I got Desperate Housewives and kind of had a pretty meteoric rise, I had to deal with the same scrutiny that I dealt with
Yep.
when I was a kid.
Yep.
It kind of started all over again. And it was like a nightmare, I mean, it really was, because I thought I got away from all that stuff, and I thought
and then a little bit of limelight, you think you're getting above it, but it's actually going to get worse.
And then I was just like, I would get torn down constantly, on the internet. I'll never forget this moment. The first time I ever went to the Emmys, one of the Kathy Griffith said,
All right.
You can go right there.
He's gonna go there. Sorry.
drag queen eyebrows.
Stop.
Oh.
You
On
have
national television.
nice eyebrows.
I would prefer not to have drag queen eyebrows. I'd like to be complimented for my eyebrows. I'll never forget that, because now, at 46 years old, roll right off my back.
Yeah, of course.
But then it destroyed me.
But how did you deal with that though? When people are just like knocking you down? Do you just kind of like
not well.
try to
Not well. Honestly,
everything
with alcohol.
process.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely drank and partied a lot when I was, in my 20s.
Well,
I think we all did.
Yeah, to
I'm
deal
right
with
with you.
Yeah.
deal with
Yeah, we all
a lot
did.
of that
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
he
think
was busy kicking a ball, so
Yeah. Which is great that you had that structure. Yeah.
it's so different in our 20s and it's so different now in our age group when it comes to dealing with, people commenting about you on the internet, right? Because you get to the point that, at least for me, as a single mom, I have to really look at things differently now, right? I can't really focus too much on the negativity that's out there or the negative things that people say about me. So I have to basically take that as a motivation and completely just black it out and know that, okay, this is my purpose. Whatever shit that people are saying, like, I don't even read about it. I don't want to hear about it. I have to purposely black it out. And I've gotten myself to the point that, I really do not give a shit what people say, because they're not taking care of me. They're not taking care of my daughter. I have to focus and know that I have a family to support. So you take all that negativities and allow it to be an inspiration. And it's more like a middle finger to people. Like, you said that about me. I'm going to, that's not who I am. And I'm going to show you and prove you wrong.
Well, exactly. Your greatest fears and your greatest insecurities can become your greatest motivators. And that's definitely what happened for me.
Yeah.
I had a lot to prove. The only drawback, on that type of thinking is that you tend to have maybe a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And that wears out.
And that's gonna keep you from getting where you want to go or staying, there long term. Yeah.
I do have a question for you, just to kind of piggyback off that. Like, especially as an athlete, like, the mentality is like a big thing for us. So when you're talking about that, like having that chip on your shoulder, like feeling that way, like how do you bring yourself out of that? And you'd be like, okay, like on to the next project, on to the next thing, So like, do you have like something that you do to kind of bring yourself out of feeling that way?
A lot of years of therapy. No,
Therapy?
Also I think prayer and meditation, and we were talking about it previously too, or you sort of mentioned it when we first started talking about this topic, is that the opposite of fear is faith.
Yeah.
And I think having a strong sense of faith and believing in something greater than myself and being able to turn over, that fear, that insecurity, that, the fear of not being good enough to.
It's bigger than you and your situation.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
I think that really helps alleviate it. I have a great meditation practice that I think, helps me sort of disconnect from the outside world. And, that way my mood and my sense of self is not so dependent on the response that I'm getting from the outside world. Because, people are miserable.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Do you have a song? Do you have a song that like takes you?
Oh no, she's gonna start singing.
Waterfall. No, I'm just kidding. Do you have a song that you
Think
like?
of a song that you listen to.
It was always like getting ready for a game or
You're on something
or
there.
something, because I'm like, I need to be a badass going into this
Of course.
game. So I don't know if you guys were watching the movie Cool Runnings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
Good runnings. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we did for the Olympics, before we're going into the bronze medal matches. We literally sat in front of the mirror. I am pride. I am power. And we like recited that, and we're like, we feel so powerful right now. But I also have like a certain song that I like to listen to or get pumped and stuff like that. So do you have a song? And I want to know all of you guys. Do you guys have a song where you're like, I'm feeling down, I'm putting this on, I'm just gonna sing my lungs out?
Wow. Oh man,
Wow.
I don't really know. I
Is
don't
it
really know
dirty?
if I
Is
do.
it
I
It
mean,
depends on the season I'm in.
little don't
It
stop.
depends on the
Yeah.
mood.
I have,
Yeah.
That always hits.
Always hit.
Meet me in the middle. Yeah. I'm more of like, I don't know, if I'm in a real hard place, one thing I love about where I live is like I go on a bike ride to the beach and I listen to worship. Just resets me and God just reminds me how. And then this gratitude kind of wins over everything as a
Yeah.
reset.
Yeah.
And it always wins. And you feel victorious out of the trenches.
It always works.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest warrior for me. But I gotta admit, I have a little bit of I sometimes listen to old like Rise Against or a little bit of Creed sometimes.
Oh yeah, babe.
Okay, what is a song?
Higher,
for us.
higher.
Rise Against. Oh yeah, come on, higher or 6 feet under, higher 100%. Take me higher. Let's go. I want to rise above the situation. Come on.
So let's go a little bit deeper in the topic, right? I mean, we're all trying to share stories here, trying to share our journey and what we learned from all of our fears and experiences in life. So I'm gonna start with you. Okay. Was there ever a moment that your fear stopped you from doing what you were doing?
That's a really good question, actually. Is there a moment that I ever felt that fear stopped me from? No, I think I'm going to say no. I think I always embraced the fear. I think that he said something that, and he was just like, it's like sitting in that uncomfortable and like
Yeah.
taking that. And for me, I like the uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You
because
know, ever since I was young, I'm such a loner. Like I'm a very independent. Like, you know, I've always put myself in different like situations and uncomfortable situations because I feel like that's what makes that kind of lights the fire under me,
Yeah.
and that's what makes me rise to the occasion. So I love it when someone comes up to me like, you're not good enough. I'm like, okay, just watch.
I-
Like, yeah. I mean, that was what it was like growing up, coming from a small town. You're not going to amount to anything. You're not going to be able to do all these things that you say. I'm like, no, I'm going to be able to, you know, ever watching the 99ers, I was like, that's going to be me one day. And I did everything in my power and put myself in those situations. Even if I didn't feel good enough to be in those situations, I acted like I was good enough to be in those situations. And I rose to the occasion and I made it.
Sometimes when we're dealing with something that's really uncomfortable, it allows us to grow, right?
Yeah.
And we learn from that. uh, What's the word am I looking for? The Asian in me is coming out. I'm running out of words. We learn from that journey. And to me, it's like when people, you know, I believe that you don't owe anyone any explanation, right? So a lot of times I have this battle within myself, especially when I'm getting too close to people. It's like, do I open up about, my past? Or do I just go with the flow and not owe anyone an explanation? And what I've learned, it's really uncomfortable telling people about your mistake, and it's embarrassing. But that's part of who I am. It allowed me to be the person that I am now. And I think I've done a great job, becoming the woman that I am now. I think everything that happened in the past, it's hurtful, it's shameful, especially when you have someone that points their finger at you like, you did this, you did that.
Who's that? Your mom?
No, my sister. That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one.
You might be correct.
I've had people that I've shared my mistakes with, and somehow I think it kind of gave them power to have something
Yeah.
against me. And I always have that feeling that, oh crap, I better behave. Otherwise, you're going to open their mouths and, tell people about my mistakes. And I'm going to have a whole bunch of people that's going to abandon me. And, you lose friendships because of, little things in life. And I think part of my struggle of being judged is I have issues with abandonment.
Yeah.
you know and I you're talking to someone that was actually left in the hospital while in labor,
Mm-hmm.
and that shut me down. And I had to pretty much, I avoided relationships for 11 years because of that. And I think it's because I gave that person too much power
Mm-hmm.
to use against me because of the mistakes that I've had in the past.
Mhm.
And it's hard. Even like with friendship nowadays, it's like, you and I had a huge talk about this. Like, I opened up to him. I'm like, what do I do? And Brandon was really great at giving me that advice. Like, you just keep on going.
That's all you can do,
Mhm.
you know?
We live in a really judgmental society.
Yeah, it's
There's no doubt about that.
hypersensitive.
And an even more judgmental, industry
Yeah.
within our overall society, which is the entertainment industry. And I feel like athletics is
Yeah,
an extension of that.
100%.
Um, people love to tear people down.
Yeah.
I think if you make one mistake, people want to identify you by that mistake,
Right.
label you for like the
That's
rest of your
very
life.
true.
Yeah.
We're not really that big on second chances.
Yeah.
They don't, and they certainly don't happen overnight. Not in our industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made.
That's why I vowed to give them.
Yeah.
Like, I've given many crew members and people like second chances all the time.
Well, honestly,
Because I never got them.
that's what being a great human being is all
Yep.
about.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's about lifting people up.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's when we're at our best. Which reminds me of that, like,
That's the
Joaquin
same
Phoenix.
thing with like, if you're
you
only
know?
hurting people, hurt people.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're getting judged, there's another answer to that reason.
Yeah.
It's not you.
It's a reflection of them.
100%.
Right?
So that when you understand that perspective, you're like, whoa. Take a 360-degree view at the whole thing. You realize there's really nothing going on that's in my control. And when you realize it's not in your control, you're released from it completely. Like, it's a whole different perspective.
Right, and nobody's perfect.
No.
Nobody can say they've never made a mistake.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
I mean,
And
Except for me. No, just kidding. I'm the king of mistakes.
and it's really about, owning, like, you know what? It's shitty. I made that mistake. Poor judgment on my part. But you grow from it. And not many people are really welcoming. And as you said, not many people are big on second chances, right? But we're all human beings.
People have the confidence to own their mistakes.
Yeah, or even apologize for them.
So I think that's a huge step. And I know I've done that in my life. For my own personal growth too.
Yeah.
Like, made amends to certain individuals that I had harmed, and whether that was well received or not, at least I cleared my side of the street. And that helped me let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another great song. I'm just thinking of Frozen right now. It's a song.
We're just even talking about songs in
It's-
here.
Yeah.
When do you stop apologizing from your mistake? That's the thing. Do you carry that for the rest of your life? Or, there's
What-
got to be a certain point in life where you say, like,
Once
I'm
make
done.
one heartfelt, sincere apology, and you own that mistake, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
I think you understand it more when you're the
Don't be so
person
hard on
forgiving
yourself.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not wrong. But it's a turnkey. Like, when you know how to forgive people, it becomes easier on you.
Mhm.
Forgiveness is the first to give, actually, technically. Like,
yeah.
That's what that's about. Whether they feel forgived or not, or they want to let it go, it's up to them.
But, like, you forgive people, but it's not, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
There's a lot to say about forgiveness. I mean, I know that I easily forgive people. Do I easily forget? Maybe sometimes. When people hurt me, I just kind of let it go, and there's karma.
Exactly.
But I also know that just because of my journey in life, of course, it's easy to forgive people. Why wouldn't you want to forgive anyone?
Well, sometimes it takes some time.
It does.
Yeah, sometimes it takes some time.
I've learned over the past that if you hold a grudge, like if somebody really got underneath it, I'm not really that grudge person. When it happened a few times, I go, why am I giving that credibility? Because they're slowing me down.
Yeah.
Almost like what you and I just talked about prior to this. Like, something can become a distraction. Instead of moving you forward, it's pulling you back.
Yeah.
And you could be continuing moving forward, but you're letting that situation or that person have all the credibility in the world.
Yeah.
To stop you from conquering what you're about to go after.
Yeah.
Just because of that one simple thing. Or it's like the steal, kill, and destroy. In the entertainment industry, I've had so many things taken away, stolen, intellectual properties, creative entities, but I take it as a compliment. Like, okay, now I know I'm on the right thing. I feel bad for them. They can't create that. I'm going to create something new. I'm going to create something again. They're probably not. That's probably why they took it.
Yeah.
So I just say, hey, you know what? That's a compliment. I had a great friend one time say, hey, it's like the tenfold. A biblical reference even. It's like, hey, man, when someone comes after you, you're going to be blessed tenfold. Like, you're rocking in a different way of life.
Yeah.
And you start looking at life where don't bring me down. Don't worry about who's around. Don't even worry about what even the situation you're in. No one can see what's really going on.
Because there's always few sides to the stories, right?
I will say this, and I love going back to the biblical side of it. Love is the strongest of all things.
Yeah.
Always is. It always conquers. I try to show that in our crews, on our sets. People come dying back to work with us on a movie because they go, oh my gosh, what an experience. That's the greatest gift in the world. If you find out that your sets are the ones that they love the most, and that's where crews find each other and they're getting along, and they tell me years later, they're like, I wish I just do another movie with you. I'm like, man, that's what it's all about.
We all need to do a movie with Brendan, not me.
We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. Maybe Jesse first, but
Yes, please.
But I do say this. One thing I will say I admire about you. I say fear is a topic. I say be fearless, and you show examples of being fearless.
Yeah.
You're very fearless in your approach to entrepreneurship, and we would all know that because we're all doing new things. You're taking on something new that I knew about coming on that I think is awesome. You're being fearless. You're an entrepreneur. You're fearless. Meaning like, hey, I'm going to do something new outside of my acting. We're outside of the box. That's where you get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And when you're fearless, you have to remind yourself you're fearless.
Yeah.
In your approach, how you build the business, what you're doing in between it all the no's that are going to come, all the judgment that's going to fill. You just know you're fearless. You're like, okay, I'm ready for it. Like, that's what you take on.
You know, I mean, even doing this podcast, especially like sitting down with such pros, and, you know, I hate the camera, I hate taking pictures, and I'm doing the complete opposite of what I hate, right? It's just completely out of comfort zone. But at some point in your life, you have to try something new, right? You have to conquer all your fears. And, you know, it's just part of the journey. You know, you get to a certain age in your life, like, you know what? I said I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it good.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
You know, it's all part of, like, you know, it's not easy to create businesses, as we all know. There's a lot of people that will try to distract you. There's a lot of people that will try to knock you down. And I think the best way to handle it is just staying focused and looking at the bigger picture.
Sometimes maybe they're just fearful of you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing it. You're just like,
Before, I used to get all down and upset and frustrated when people talk a lot of crap about me, right? And I think you and I had this conversation, and now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it as a compliment because you actually spent time writing about me. You spent time talking about me when you probably should be doing other things that'll make you successful. So, yeah, now it's a compliment.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
They took that time. You devoured the time out of their life for them to write that comment. Well, whatever it may be, judgment, whatever it is, that comment itself. They want to take that time out of their life to say it to you or about you. So clearly you're doing something right.
Well, maybe it's you know how when they said, and when people say bad things about you, it's a reflection of who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you just kind of accept it. I'm like, okay, you know what? Thanks.
Or you're like, sometimes maybe they're right, man. I don't know.
Maybe they're right, you know.
Sometimes they are.
I've looked at it like, especially in our world, like where you're so concerned how people receive things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a universal language, right? I'm like, man, I really hope.
Well, after having a few bad
I don't want to go to my
experiences,
premieres.
yeah.
I'm like, what? No, I don't want to.
You almost get paranoid.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't
Just
even want to deal with this.
The
now.
littlest thing can offend somebody
Yeah.
too, you know? I mean, it's like you really have to
And critics be critics. And now everyone's a critic now.
be conscious of the things you say.
Yep.
Make people, one thing that I feel like I've really embraced as I've gotten older is the idea that it's really important the way you make people feel.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the things you do.
Yeah.
Especially in our industry, it's more about how you make people feel. And that's probably why people think that the entertainment industry in Hollywood is so fake.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it kind of is. Because everyone's kind of walking around on eggshells, trying not to say the wrong thing or trying to say the right thing to get the right opportunity.
What are they trying to get from me? Or am I trying to get something from them? Is that coming across that way? Like, you don't know.
It's almost like you have to be a politician,
Yeah.
For someone who prides themselves on authenticity. It's not necessarily something that's always come natural.
No.
No.
Yeah, and it's definitely tough in the entertainment industry. I mean, you deal with it every day, and you can tell from like when you're around it a lot and you've been through the trenches, you can get that one phone call and go, been through this one.
Yeah.
Already know how this conversation is going to go.
Exactly.
And already know the
See
fake
it coming.
facade being put up right now.
Right.
Like, and I have to tell new guys that are joining our production company a lot that I'm like, hey, thank you for that. I took a little bit of time. I'm sorry that I was very aggressive in the beginning, telling you I know what this is ahead of time, but I want to tell you, great job on getting it. And they get so sensitive that I'm like turning everything down right away. I said, no, this is something I've done thousands and thousands of times. And you build discernment and wisdom, you'll get the same. So I'm trying to lead you this way early so you don't have to go through as much.
Right.
But it's just that thing because everyone's scratch crawling, trying to find something. In the industry of my side, it's like one guy gets on a phone call, he's a producer. And you're in the trenches making everything and no one knows what's going on. You're hiding in post forever as a director. Like, then you go to the premiere and everyone's there. And you're like, why? I've been hiding for months. No one's ever even seen me finish this whole thing. And here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's like my own thing of dealing with when I go there. I'm like, I didn't even want to go to my last premiere. I told you that. I was like, well, let everybody else enjoy it. I'm like, I'm good. Seen it 1,000 times. Like, but I had to call a good friend and I was like, yo, I'm feeling this way and I want nothing to do with it right now and go. And they're like, it's not about you. He's correct. I was like, I'm wrong. Again, I made a mistake. It's not about me. And he goes, you're going for their sake and you not being there will devastate everybody. And I'm like, you're right. How selfish of me. Thought I was selfish enough being a director and I was there for your vision, but this is really selfish. So I'm like, yeah. But you need great people in your life too.
Yeah.
We all need mentors.
Yeah.
I try to have mentors in every space of the industry. Mm-hmm. Like I know my producing mentor. I know my directing mentor. I know anybody I'm calling for cinematography or from the acting side or whatever. I know who those people would be that I call. And then just life. Yeah. Like who's my best friend that I have like that and usually the best ones are the ones that live across the country who you just checks in.
Yeah.
That's how you know you have a great friend. They don't need your time around you or even be in the same hemisphere. Like, they're going to check in. And I know that's the person I'm calling if I need help.
I think going off that, though, is I think people don't realize in the fields that we're in, it's very lonely.
Oh,
it
yeah.
It is because you're it's just such a competitive field that it's where you get very lonely. And so it's so important. And I instill this in all the kids that I coach and talk about is surrounding yourself with good, positive people that are going to uplift you and not bring you down. And, they're going to help you through those tough times. A lot of the times when I'm coaching kids, they're like, I can't talk to my coach. I can't talk to my parents, but I can talk to you because you've been through it. And you're like this like saving grace for me. You're this, you're this like level-headed, positive person that I can talk to. And like, I'll get a lot of DMs from just random kids. They don't even know me, but they know that like through the grapevine, hey, Lauren's an easy person to talk to. And I think every time I speak to kids, I'm like, just make sure you're surrounding yourself with good people. Like all these people here, like us sitting right here, we can just pick up the phone, call each other like, hey, I'm having a bad day, and I think that's so important. So
it's always good to have that person that you can just call, like, you know what, things are kind of shitty.
We're only as good as the champions in our life. We need people to champion us just like we champion them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said this in the entertainment industry forever, and I'm not going to ever stop it. I mean, I think I said it right after we just won that award. I was like, I'm only as good as the company to keep and the champions that are in my life. Yeah. I wouldn't be back in the industry if it wasn't for someone who believed in even though I'm pressing, we can do everything we can, but it took someone positioning me and saying, hey, I'm championing you back in the chair. Thank you. I thought I lost all my gifting and talents leaving for so long. I went back to help athletes, but you know what? Like what you're saying, coaching kids has taught me how to deal with more personalities than ever before and made me a better director. Yeah. If I swallowed in all that time away going, oh, is me and I can't go make movies and do what I used to do because I got chased out for, don't want to get into the details, and it's an aggressive industry. But in the same sense, it built my character up to where I'm doing things I would never have done younger when I was successful. Mm-hmm. Like it's just a different breed and mentality. Yeah. And you formulate that over time. And I think as coaching, one thing that's cool is that you see them in their vulnerable place.
Exactly.
That's why they look up to you different than the teacher and the parent. Because they're in their vulnerable... Look, when you work out, you take yourself to your nth degree, right? You're showing everything you got. So it's pretty vulnerable. So I think that's where you relate to them so much. And you're influencing so many kids. It's crazy and that's awesome. I miss it. Now I look... Everything where I wanted to be, now I look back and go, oh man, I missed that a lot, like, because it was fun. It was coaching football and being on the field, like, and seeing these kids and how influential you were in their life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
We never had that growing up, right? I always had to figure out.
The bad coaches taught me how to be a
right?
good coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of just want to go around and just, if there's one message that you can touch someone, what would it be?
One message.
I mean, I think we've really touched on it in this conversation. I think it's really important to have faith,
Yeah.
you know, and a component of having faith is patience. Patience is one of the most difficult things
100%.
to master
Yeah.
in life. You know, we all have desires, you know, and they say that desire is a lack, you know, a lack of self, a lack of value, you know, feeling like you need something to complete you. But I mean, we all have goals, I should say, and those you're not necessarily going to achieve those goals on your timeline. But all you can do is put your best foot forward every single day, put out your best effort every single day.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, you'll be graced in your life, and you know, and hopefully you'll have a life that's successful and abundant. You know, for me, you know, I was driven on self-will for so long, you know, through my 20s and most of my 30s, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting, and then when things don't go your way, you start going, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I not enough? You know.
One thing that I live by is never base your decision out of fear.
Yeah.
That's gotten me, you know, pretty far in life, and I have to remind myself each day. I'm like, you know what? Okay, this is how I'm gonna do things. Because
Oh, well, I honestly believe that you're never meant to give up on anything. There's things that have come fruition in my life to where I'm like, wow, I've worked on that for 10 years, and you never know, like he said, with patience,
yeah,
when the spark will come.
yeah,
You just might not have been in the right season, but you're in the season to create it, to infiltrate it, and to build it, and then it shows up again.
Yep.
And you just have to constantly, slowly just water it a little bit here and there, and it comes back. I have a film right now that I'm just blown away. I'm in awe. I mean, I'm just grateful. It's a passion project, and I'm in awe because it took so much time that no one sees. It's not up to anybody to see. And it was a beautiful thing because it's something that was, everyone said it was impossible.
Yeah.
yeah,
Even the studios making offers did not want it for certain seasons we were in. And you look at it and you go, no, you stay fervent and true, and you know that's where the faith comes in. And that faith instills confidence.
all right,
Yeah. I think to piggyback off that, you know, is definitely the patience. I think for me, is like the having no regrets is a big thing, especially
Not even one single letter.
in the athletic world. I think it's definitely having no regrets. I told myself, you know, when I had a high paying job before I went into the combine and got drafted, and I was like, I'm going to have no regrets. I'm leaving this job. I'm going to go put all my eggs in one basket and go for it. And I think the patience thing is a really, really big thing, because the day I called my dad and I was like, I played 3 years in the pros. I was like, it's just not really going the way I anticipated. I wasn't getting the call up to the national team. That day, I was like, Dad, you know what? I think I might be done. I've given it all I got. 3 years in. That day, I get the email, you're coming into national team camp, and my whole entire world changed. And I get this question a lot from a lot of these players that I mentor, and they're all different stages in their lives. You know, some are current pros right now, and they need to practice patience on a daily, because especially in athletics, one day could be nothing, the next day could be something, no matter what field you're in. And I know this sounds cliche, but one thing I always tell my kids is remember to always have fun. I think when I lost my joy for the game is when I had a huge injury, and I had one of the hardest years of my life. And I would say, whatever it is, whatever passion you have in life, is if you're not having fun, then that's not the path you should be on. But if you're out there living, like, soccer is my happy place. I step onto the field and I'm so happy. Even now, I'll just go out and dribble the ball. I'm happy. So just whatever it is, just remind yourself to always have fun and enjoy life.
So let's talk about, what you guys are up to these days and what is next in your journey.
Well,
I know you have your
yeah,
amazing
I
skincare product
have
that
my
I'm dying to
skincare
try.
line that I
I've
actually
never used it in
just
my life.
launched
Convince me
last
that.
week. Easy, super simple, clean, effective, lab grade skincare line. Only 4 products.
And it has peptide.
It's got
Huge fan of
peptides,
peptide.
which are really great for promoting collagen production. It's got glycolic acid, hyaluronic acid, incredible products, and a great price point. So I'm excited about this new endeavor. I also have a couple movies coming out this year.
Tell us about the movies.
Uh,
Another John Tucker?
I wish that hasn't
You
been.
need like a spoof on it now. Like,
Yeah.
do this.
That'd be great.
I can help you with that.
There's actually a script. There's actually
Oh, really?
something in development, but it just hasn't been.
Like you come back to
yet.
Coach Degenerate and stuff. Like,
Pretty much.
I like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I like that.
I have this horror movie, Possession at Gladstone Manor, that's coming out.
And you were just in New York not too long ago, right?
Was just in New York. I just guest starred on Law and Order, which
Nice.
was a
Yeah.
blast. The episode got a lot of attention. It was about the assassination of an insurance company CEO.
Oh, that's related to real life and
Hey, from the
Wonder where they
headlines,
got
as
that.
they say. Yeah.
Huh.
Another little movie coming out later this year, an action comedy called Boris is Dead. So I have an exciting year ahead. Obviously I aspire to work with you at some point.
Same.
Yeah.
I actually thought I was coming with you to something for today, but maybe. Actually, we're going to turn something from this today. There's a lot.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on another episode after that.
And of course, I'm thrilled to have you back in my orbit. And
I know it's really
Yeah.
funny because we lost contact for many months, right? Then we box at the same gym.
Oh, really?
And this is so embarrassing, but I'm gonna have to tell this story. So I see Jesse, and I was hiding from you because I had to make the phone call and apologize. So I see Jesse, and my boxing coach is like, why are you pale? I'm like, there's someone behind me that I'm not ready to talk to.
Oh.
So when he was boxing,
More to this story.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was boxing
Sure,
to the left, right? And Tech is like, okay,
That's how he was boxing?
pivot to your right. Pivot to your right. So here, he's behind me. He's like, okay, he's going the other side. Going the other side. I'm like, crap. I just got to give him a call. And I'm like, okay,
Well, I'm glad
you know
I'm
what?
glad you did.
The
And I really respected that call.
Yeah.
It really touched me.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah. And that's what this conversation today on the first episode of your podcast is all about.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm doing this. Do you want to help out here? He's like, of course. I'm like, okay, that made me happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So now I'm not afraid to go to that
Don't
gym
go to
because then
the
I
gym that Jesse goes to.
I think a lot of
Do you-
female actually goes to the gym to
I've
go.
been boxing for a long time. Yeah. I got decent hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took her boxing one time.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, we had a blast with the girls, you
Yeah, it
know.
was a good time.
Cool.
Yeah, it
Don't
was
miss
fun.
me, that's what I gotta say. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Brandon, what are you up to next?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. I've just finished writing a screenplay. My business partner Brian Bird just finished writing a really huge screenplay. That's our passion project that we have that took a lot of years. I talked about. I'm really excited about. There's an offer to do it this year, which would be amazing theatrical film.
Nice.
But we just wrapped up our Christmas movie, and it won Best TV Movie of the Year, which was nice.
Yeah, and my daughter loves that movie.
No, I heard they showed it at her school. I was like, that's
Yeah.
so cool. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah, it's
but
like,
yeah.
Mom, they won't believe me that I know Mr. Trevor and Mr. Brandon. I'm like,
I love how it's Mr. First Name.
yeah.
I need to keep that going. But no, the films are everything that's going on right now. But I think the thing that I'm really excited about is this particular film that took so long. It's just reassuring to everything we just talked
Yeah.
about. Just like that brings me so much joy and gratitude to where like at one point I'm like I almost feel like am I even worthy of this right at this point? I don't know if you've ever felt that. I'm like this is so awesome. You're grinding for it, and then when it comes, like I see offers on the table, I'm like wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
This is a blessing for me. This film coming is so important that I come from a long legacy. Like my grandfather produced the Giant Wayne movies, the Goonies. My great granddad started the Stone Association. It's like it's in the blood, right?
Yeah.
And I've wanted to bring back the old Hollywood flavor and mix, and this
Yeah.
is a good opportunity. And I think power's coming back to the independents, and we're in such transition that this is a staple to that, and it's going to help reignite, get people back in theaters,
Yeah.
which we need,
Yeah.
So
I love going. I go to the theater by myself all the time.
He does too.
Like
He does.
tub of popcorn. Give me all the candy.
Well, now we can all go together.
Yes.
Let's go, guys.
We're going.
I'm big on
here.
popcorn and red wine. You got me, all right?
I mean, you guys are gonna ask me what I'm about to. We're all going. Sporsome is all going on tour because our singing abilities are incredible, absolutely impeccable.
TLC in movies.
TLC's and movies.
No. Well, were you finished?
I'm done.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going off of you.
I threw it over there.
You
just
did
cheated
throw it.
and you're going.
You know, I heard theaters, popcorn, whatever.
Thanks then, go.
I mean, you guys are doing some pretty cool stuff. Me, I'm, heavily immersed in the soccer space. The World Cup is coming up. There's a lot of excitement around that. Still doing the mentoring. I'm now buying women's soccer teams around the world and kind of, helping that. And it's just like, it's my purpose. It's my why. I'm just really excited to keep elevating the women's game. And I am starting my own clothing line that will be launching soon. It's in the soccer space. You guys will love it. I have a lot of things.
We're doing it closer, yeah.
Well,
And she's the one,
I'm just happy. I'm just really happy at this point in my life. It took a lot for me to get here through my concussion journey, but that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so I'm just happy. And also that I get to work with the amazing Kathleen. Our friendship has really blossomed over this year, and I just want to take a minute on behalf of all of us to say you are an absolute badass. I hope I can say that on here. And it's really cool to see
You're making me blush,
really
but I'll take it.
cool. It's really cool to see you coming into your own. You've been wanting to do these things for a long time, and for you to be able to step into this, owning your power, and facing your fears, because I know we've had a lot of conversation about that, and I'm just so excited and happy to see what you're going to be doing this year and all them things.
Yeah, I'm really excited that I have this opportunity to really focus on my vision, right? And I have this amazing support. And, hopefully this is just the beginning of a good, journey for all of us. I'm big on taking all my friends to whatever it is that I'm doing. And I love seeing my friends be successful, and I love just like seeing like the people that I care and love do what they do best. And I just really want everyone to be happy. I think that especially in our society right now, we can use a lot of love and a lot of support. And if there's anything that, I truly believe in, is you protect and you take the people that means a lot to you. And you just, exactly.
Yep.
And I appreciate you. I mean, you and I have a lot of, phone calls about life. I appreciate you being back in my life, and I appreciate the friendship that you and I have, that, I'm developing a wellness brand, and this amazing lady right here is, just doing a lot of things with me, and really appreciate it.
Oh, we love you.
Well, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you for being a part of our pilot show. And this is me, and
This
this
is
is us.
us.